Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to another episode of Everything Spice. My name is Tanya, and today I'm working out of a book. I'm going to try something new. Now, I do my own pizza dough, and I'm making pizza today, but I'm doing this one a little bit different. If you see it here, this is a Polish, which is like a starter. Now, this is from the book. Just got it in. Flour, water, salt, and yeast creates this, but this is for pizza. So it's an overnight pizza dough with Polish, my Polish. And what it starts with is 3 1/4 cups of white flour plus 2 tablespoons or 500 grams. Water is 500 grams, and you microwave it for like 30 seconds to get it to like a warmish temperature. Or you can do it in cups of 2 1/4 cups. And then they have 0.4 grams or a scant of 1/8 of a teaspoon of yeast. Sits overnight, mix it, sits overnight, and look what happens to it. It turns fabulous. Look at that. And it rises into this fabulousness, okay? Then I used my handy dandy scale to do the rest of it, which is white flour, 500 grams, or 3 1/4 cups, plus 2 tablespoons. Water, 250 grams. And you warm it up in the microwave, or, what is it, 1 1/8 cups? I was like, 1 1/8 cups, hello, I'm going with the grams. Fine sea salt, 20 grams, or 1 tablespoon, plus 3/4 teaspoon. And the Polish, the whole kit and caboodle. All right, so I have all of this in the bowl. My white flour, my water, my fine sea salt. I don't have fine sea salt, so I'm using regular. If you have fine sea salt, do it, but I'm not doing it. And then I have my Polish right here. The only difference between this recipe and what I'm doing is there's another pizza recipe book that I have that I'm going to break out at another time, and it uses dry malt powder or diastatic dry malt powder. Okay, got this on my, begins with an A, ends with a M, no, ends with an N, my favorite place in the world to shop online, and it came in the mail for that. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Water, 250 grams, I think I mentioned that, and it's warmed up from the microwave. So we're going to mix this with that, zhuzh it together, and then it's going to rise all day while I work. And when I come home, I'm going to make me some pizza. I'm going to try it. Let me smell this. Woo! Oh my Lord. That is so strong. That's a strong smell. I just put the cover off. Oh my God. It smells like pure alcohol. Yikes. I think I just got drunk off of this. But this is what it looks like. It's called a Polish. I should not have opened it like that. Yo, that is strong. Dear God. Okay, so you see the diastatic. I mix it all in. Keep it going. Get all that salt mixed in. And then we're gonna just dump and go, friends. We don't fool around up in here. You do not fool around. So we're gonna mix it all in together. I'm gonna use a wooden spoon. A whisk is just not. It's not where it's at. You think it is, but it's not. I say that. Oh my goodness. I'm drunk. What can I tell you? I just sniffed some alcoholic Polish. So now I'm a bit foolish.
I don't know this.
All right, so we're gonna mix this in and mix it well. And if you need a little bit more water, well, obviously I do. That's why I'm gonna put this in. Hello. All right, mix it all in the bowl. You don't gotta fool around with it. It's just a quick zhuzh, as they say. And then you're gonna let it sit and rise some more. So it has to have the Polish has to have 10 to 12 hours. So I did it last night before I went to bed. And then all day it's been, rising into this container. But now I'm just gonna mix this in. So what I need to do is just, I guess, get my hands dirty. Get my hands dirty, boy. All right, I'm gonna mix all this in, and I'm gonna let this rise up for the next step, which is making our piazzas. Look at this. I would say this is good enough. All right, the next step, what we're gonna do before we rise it is, once it's all mixed, we have to do a couple of turns on the board. So we put a little bit of flour on, and it's very wet. So I'm gonna use my handy dandy scraper and just keep moving it around. See how wet it is? And that's fine, it's supposed to be. And you just move it around a few turns. You don't got to get it perfectly smooth or perfectly great. You just want to move it around. Now you're going to probably have to use a dough. You're going to probably have to use some flour with it, and that's perfectly fine. So I have some flour here. It's still sitting there. It's more of a chunkier flour, but that's fine. And then you just move it around with your hands because it's so incredibly wet. You're going to do this and keep moving it on the board, okay? We're going to do a few passes, a few turns, and then we're going to take this wet dough, this really wet dough, and as you're doing this though, it's going to get a little bit better. You know, the gluten is going to start working in it. It's going to have a little bit more of a structure. Right now, it's a gloopy mess, right? But as you're working the dough, it is going to change the structure of it a little bit from this sticky mess to something more structurally sound, okay? So I'm going to keep moving this around. Keep wetting my hands here, keep putting some flour in my hands, and then I'm gonna spray this, or you can put a little olive oil in here, and then wet it like we do with the other doughs. Make sure that all sides are wet so that it doesn't dry out. And then what I'll do is let it rise for the rest of the day. Once it rises for the rest of the day, then we will make the pizza tonight. We're at the home stretch, and now, pun intended, we're gonna be stretching our pizza dough. Because it's pizza night, baby. So let's do this. I got a pan. This is going to be my sheet pan pizza. All right. And I have some cornmeal on the bottom that absorbs any type of wetness from the dough. And I have parchment. You can use parchment. I would be leery of aluminum foil only because it might stick. But if that's all you got, that's all you got, right? Mozzarella, because that's pizza cheese, and I have some pepperoni. I'm using jerky pepperoni. You can use whatever you want. And with the recipe for this dough is in flour, water, salt, and yeast by Ken Forkish. There we go. That's his real name, Ken Forkish. Okay, let's get this party started. All right, so this has been rising, and look at this. Look how beautiful. It's risen to the occasion. And we're happy for it, trust me on that. All right, let's get this done. It's a wet dough, just so you know. It smells amazing in here. It smells fantastic in here. Okay, let's get all of this out. My word, this is delicious. I can't wait to try this. Okay. Now, look at that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do with it, because it is a wet dough, I am not going to play with this today, okay? I am just going to stretch it out to fit the pan, just like that, and plop it in, okay? We're not going to play with it too much, but we are going to lift it up and try to pat it into the pan, okay? No fuss, no muss. Stretch it if you have to, just to get it to the corners. And if you need to wet your hands, this is what I do. Take some cooking spray and wet my hands, and that helps me to move it along and stretch it out, okay? Keep stretching it. Pizza's used to being stretched, right? We're not gonna throw it up in the air. God knows what would happen if I tried to do that. So we're gonna just do it this way. And like I said, it helps to have your hands nice and greased, because then you can stretch this puppy out to unknown notches, right? Okay, this is perfecto, just like that. Okay, here we go. Pat, 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 pat. All right, this is it. And you can let it rise for a little bit in this pan. It's almost like a focaccia. And just go like this if it's a focaccia, right? Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. There you go. Put some holes in it and play the piano on it. There you go. So look at that. Fits the whole pan. Okay, give me a moment. I'm gonna get some tomato sauce, pizza tomato sauce, and we are going to prepare our beauteous pizza for tonight's supper. Uno momento. Time to assemble our fabulous sheet pan pizza, okay? Now I have a pizza sauce a pizza sauce. And you can use whatever you want for pizza sauce. I'm gonna use the whole thing. Now, if there was a ton of it, you know, I'm gonna use 1 can. The one thing you wanna remember with pizza is less is more. If you put too much tomato, it's just gonna sog up the pizza. If you put too much toppings, the same can be true. Less is more. You don't see a lot of huge amount of toppings on pizza when you go to the pizzeria. And it's not because they're cheap and they don't want to fill it. It's because it's not necessary. It just sogs up the pizza and you don't get that beautiful crust that you're looking for, okay? And try not to go to the edges too much. If it happens like I did over there, that's no biggie. But try to give a little bit of space because the crust is going to rise, okay? And it's going to separate the crust from the middle. And that's what you want, okay? Here we go. Look how pretty it is. It's so pretty. Use all of this. It's Italian. Come on now. So good. All right, next step is the toppings. And what I have is mozzarella. You can use fresh mozzarella for this as well. And then I'm just going to pile it on. Because I love it like that. I like a lot of cheese on mine. But accordingly, you know, the cheese isn't going to be a problem. It's the toppings. Like if you have chorizo, or you have chorizo, or you have sausage, try not to be, or vegetables. Vegetables have a lot of water. So even the cooked ones. So try not to use too much toppings. But I'm using pepperoni because my kids like pepperoni. Use the whole thing. Just dump and go along. No fuss, no muss, just like that. Just make sure it's covered. And then I'm going to use the third one. Whoa! We are living on the edge here, people. We are living on the edge. Come on now. I said not to use a lot, but I changed my mind here. I like a lot of cheese. I really do. It's going to go into another about 4, preheated 450. Right now I have it at 4 because I'm cooking some fries. But I am going to jack this up in a minute. Okay, so this goes on like this, right? Fancy, fancy, fabulous, fabulous. No more cheese, we're done. Let's go on to the pepperoni, not a turkey pepperoni. Shh, don't say anything to my kids, they ain't gonna know. And we're gonna put it on, and this is how I do it every single time. I love it. Go down there, make sure you fill it up because they love pepperoni. I tend to be liberal with the pepperoni and less when it comes to vegetables, onions. Anything that has a high water content, less is more. Because I have found that being overly generous does not work out when it comes to pizza. Because what ends up happening is it turns into a mushy mess. That's how I learned about cornmeal on the bottom, dries it up too. But less is more on the top. You want a nice crispy pizza, you don't want a soggy sensation over there. It's not good with pizza. All right, keep going. We're gonna pile this up and then I'll put some oil on top. Olive oil, which is a good fat. It has to have a little bit of, it helps with the melting process and the crust browning. That's why I use it. Okay, let me find any holes here that I need to fill in with some pepperoni. Leave no space. Unattended here. All right, I think that's good. I think that's awesome. I'm gonna put some parsley. Kind of like it. Some pepper. Why not? No salt for this, but I am gonna use some olive oil. Okay, I'm gonna put a cap and see how that goes. And you just go like that on it. Just cap it as you go along. Don't go crazy with it, but you do have to have the edges to have some on there, and it does help with the melting. So this is a pure olive oil. Gives a nice flavor. Gives a nice taste. Okay, 450 degrees for about, I would say, half hour. Turning it, making sure it doesn't over brown at the top, okay? And when I return, we're gonna reveal how gorgeous this delicious, cheesy, pleasy, homemade pizza is gonna be. Stay tuned, my friends. All right, the final shot, fresh out of the oven. There we go, there's the pizza. All right, maybe this is my sheet pan pizza. French fries there. Look at that deliciousness. And on the bottom, if you noticed, it's perfectly crusted. Look at that brownage. Now that is a pizza. Well, would give you a slice, but it's still hot out of the oven and we gotta wait a few minutes. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And I will join you again next time on Everything Spice. Have a good one, everyone. Be safe.